There's been a thing the last few years of hot dog stands opening up around town, carts that street vendor kind of stuff that sell Sonoran hot dogs. Now, I don't know if there's an exact definition of a Sonoran hot dog. They have but typically speaking, we're talking about a regular hot dog wrapped in bacon and then covered with, in addition to the usual things that you might find on there, like mustard, mayo, ketchup, also things like guacamole, avocado, hot sauce, cheeses, Mexican cheeses, other kinds of peppers. So I really wanted to try that out. But the carts are kind of inconvenient for me. But La Pasadita has opened it's been here for a while. Let's not be silly about it. It's been here for quite a few years, and I just haven't gotten around to it because it's in an awkward spot. But I've decided to come in and try it today, and I've looked over their menu. They've got a number of... I hate guacamole, but avocados are just evil. And I'm not really a big fan of ketchup. I love mustard. Ketchup and mustard together do not go well to me. Sweet and then tasty good stuff. So I've looked over their menu and I've decided to go with the Arizona, which is bacon wrapped hot dog, toasted bun, grilled onions, two kinds of cheeses, both shredded Monterey and nacho cheese sauce, and a chipotle sauce. And then it also normally comes with guacamole, which I'm going to have them leave off. So I think this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Gracias por acompañarnos. Nos vemos mañana en más noticias en Telemundo. Hasta luego. An hour later. Siento mucho saber todo el tiempo, pero hay que ver que no va a funcionar. An hour later. Siento mucho saber todo el tiempo, pero hay que ver que no va a funcionar.
All right, I've had my Arizona dog and a soda. And I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as I feel like I should. It was good. Nothing to complain about. All things I like. Somehow just didn't quite gel for me. I think next time I might have to try one of the other dogs, and then I'm gonna have to do more customization because, you know, when you're into a new place and you're trying their food, I don't like to have to go in and start, well, in this and then know that and then the other thing. And so in the case of the Arizona dog, all I had to do is to kick off that nasty green crap. But all of their dogs have the nasty green crap on it, which is a shame. So right off the bat, everything in there, no guac. Some of them have guac and avocado, no avocado. Tomatoes, no tomatoes. Tomatoes are evil. And ketchup, of course, no ketchup. So by the time I do a Sonoran dog, which I think does have guacamole, avocado, tomatoes, and ketchup on it, as well as all the other things, are you getting a Sonoran dog then at that point? The specific Sonora style, not the Sonoran style hot dogs, which is the whole range. They've got a Sonora, or they've got a Sonora, they've got the Arizona, a Sinaloa, a Chihuahua, different regions, and they're different variations of stuff. All of them have guacamole. Anyway, it was good. It was good. I was just hoping that I would be able to rave about it, and I can't. Oh, I should have done this in the parking lot, but I forgot. So I'm back home now. Definitely blew my diet budget today, but we'll go into that in a minute. When I used to work for the insurance department, which I've worked there since, well, 1990? Yeah, 1990. During the 1990s, the Consumer Affairs Division would, and a lot of them are bilingual, because it makes sense for them to have people who can answer the phone for the people who are here. And they all ate at a restaurant called Rito's, which is further south from where the insurance department was and back a few miles. And they had the best green chili burritos. They're not exactly the fullest green chili burritos. They are probably the juiciest. And the sauce that it's so good. It was so good. So they couldn't go out, so they'd send people. So, like, you know, they'd have a cycle where people would go out, pick up food, bring it back for the whole crew. Rito's was so popular that they were bringing food back for the entire department. They were bringing 40, 50 burritos back sometimes. And in the computer room, we used to get in on that whenever they went to Rito's. It was always at least once a week. Occasionally, it'd be 2 runs a week. I always had a couple of green chili burritos because it just hands down the best. My dad used to have a girlfriend back when we lived in Oracle and subsequently. And she was Hispanic, and she made her own tortillas, and she made her own green chili burritos. And they were the best, I will say. She was phenomenal at that. She rarely would make them because it was such a pain in the butt, but they were phenomenal. And I would say that these at Rito's are as good. You know, without doing a side-by-side comparison, which is of course not possible. But they were fantastic. And so whenever they would go, it's like, here's my money, go get me some burritos. It was fantastic. And Rito's was so popular. You know, they'd be calling in these huge orders, and lots of places were calling. It didn't have any sit down, as far as I know. Just a couple of benches outside. Just all a takeout place. And eventually they kind of put a ban on it. I don't know if it was permanent or whether it was temporary or whether it was just us, but they basically said, we can't take orders this big anymore. And so they cut us off. Not only did Rito's cut us off, but the consumer service people cut us off. They said, sorry, you know, we had to cut it back to just us because of this. And so I haven't had Rito's in, 15 years. And it's too far away, and it's not in a great part of town, and there's nowhere to eat. So I don't want to go get it and bring it back here because it'd be cold, and so it just really wasn't. It really wasn't to be. But being retired, I'm like, damn it, I'm going down there and I'm having a burrito, even if I have to sit in my car outside on the street, and I'm going to have one of the burritos. And I looked it up and I looked at their website, and I'll be damned if they didn't just 2 months ago open a new Rito's near me. Not far. 4 miles? 4.5 miles? And it's a sit-down restaurant. So that's where I went for lunch today. You know, if I had gone to a takeout place and I wanted a $5 burrito, I'd order a $5 burrito, and I would be fine with ordering a $5 burrito and go, thank you very much, $5 burrito, goodbye. But I wasn't expecting it to be quite as, even if it was a sit-down restaurant, I kind of expected it to be, lawn furniture kind of place. It's not. They came in. They have a greeter who seats you and waiters, and they brought out chips and salsa, and I'm like, now suddenly I can't have just one burrito because it's ridiculous. So I had been reading through Yelp, and I only ever had the green chili burritos. Just never been tempted to try something else. And I knew I couldn't eat 2 green chili burritos and stay on my diet, so I thought I'd go with a taco. And the reason I went with a taco is there were a lot of people on Yelp were just saying, these are like the best tacos. And I thought, well, they got the best green chili burritos. Maybe they do have the best tacos. I will have a taco. So I got my basket of chips and my green chili burrito and my taco. Anyway, I started with the green chili burrito. Well, okay, I started with the chips, but then the green chili burrito, and it was so good. It's been so many years, I can't tell you that it's exactly the same, but it was absolutely good enough for me to go hands down. This is the green chili burrito for me. I don't know what they do to it, why it's different. It was so the meat was so tender, wasn't at all dry. It's so the sauce is such that you want to just use a fork and take some extra tortilla and just sop up the sauce. I mean, it's so good. So good. Every bit as good as I remember it. I'm so happy about that. And then I had the taco, and I started to eat the taco, and honestly, it ain't all that. It's just every other 24-hour Mexican food place's tacos. So, don't get the taco. Get the green chili burrito. They have green chili chimichanga. I might do that. I might do that. But, wow. I'm so happy. So happy. I just don't know that I can handle the calories, but so good. So good. Okay, Thanksgiving Day. I've been sick for the last few days. Still a little under. But Thanksgiving, most everything's closed in the United States. So more on that perhaps later, but we've driven across town to Mesa to go to Izzy's Cafe, which is a Taiwanese place, for our midday meal. I'm cooking dinner tonight, and Michelle cooked breakfast, and so we've come here, and now we're just sort of walking off our lunch a little bit, and we've come to Riverside Park, which used to be a park my wife came to when she lived right over there, and they've completely, basically plowed it under and made a completely new, ultra-modern, rather soulless park, honestly, but there you go. That's how these things work. They go from quaint to soulless. Although, it does have a climby thing.
Some people would just walk across this. I like it not dying. Alright, I guess not my turn.
I'm not going to. Hi. Bud.
The one that shows up a rock. I think this is funny.
And fake wood cement. Throughout my youth, I always felt that Thanksgiving was the most inappropriately named holiday ever. I mean, first off, it implies you have something to give thanks to. I mean, there's an inherent sort of implication that God did shit, which of course, God doesn't exist. So that's bullshit. But for people who don't believe in that, a lot of times there's like, oh, you should be thankful for your job, or you should be thankful for your health, or you should be thankful. It's like, well, thankful to whom? Right? So it's a bullshit holiday. But there's a reason it's the completest, biggest bullshit holiday in existence. And that's because pizza restaurants are closed. How can you be thankful if there's no pizza available in the world? It's an oxymoron. No pizza, nothing to be thankful for. And so Thanksgiving is always a bit of a tedious holiday. But this year, we're having pizza. We're doing this the old-fashioned holiday way. I am making this entirely from scratch. Dough from scratch, sauce from scratch, pepperoni from a plastic bag, which is a lot like making it from scratch. Let me try it. Get your nose out of there, Ollie. Nice try. Look at that. Nice try, buddy, but that didn't happen. No! Yeah! Just because your nose is big enough to reach there doesn't mean you get to stick your nose up there and have the pepperoni. It has a very homemade feel to it. I approve. I'm also not making the cheese for a variety of reasons. But we have whole milk mozzarella. None of that crappy 2% shit. The real stuff. If you're going to do it right. So that's what we're working on right now. Waiting for the dough to rise. The sauce is simmering. And the dogs are staring at me like they're going to get some food. Silly dogs. They get a piece of bacon this morning. That's all they're getting. All right, well, we've got 3 doughs. That's just 2 of them because I don't think we can eat 3 pizzas. So the third dough's in the fridge for later. And now these get covered up with, well, pillowcases because they don't have tea towels for half an hour. And in that time, I will cook up the sausage. The sauce is done. It's maybe a slight bit tartar than I like, but I don't want to push it over the edge. So we'll give this a go, and I'll also have to grate up the cheese. So that's next. Pre-ground Italian sausage makes all the difference in the world when it comes to the pain in the butt level of dealing with sausage. Too burnt. Too burnt. Gotta try it anyway. It's definitely too burnt. Well, damn it. I think that would have been a good one. Well, pizza number 2 is in there now. I'm cooking it a lot less. Almost 3 minutes less. Ooh. Bad out there. But nice and airy. This is the second pizza. It's not as done. We cut the time off by at least 2 full minutes. And the bottom, however, is just about perfect. The top, it's not quite done, but let's see. Not bad. If I do say so myself. That's not a bad pizza. All right, we're giving one more try to the pizza. Had 3 crusts yesterday. We only cooked 2. Burnt the first one, as I said. Second one undercooked on top, about right on the bottom. Third one is going in at a lower oven temperature by 50 degrees for the full 7 minutes. And it was a lot easier to work the crust today. So I'm thinking the 24 hours overnight was an important piece. It looked good, but we'll see. It's not out yet. I'd like to see it a little darker on top, but I am reminded of Grimaldi's pizza, which cooks in a coal oven. It's so hot, they have to pull it out while the mozzarella is still white and not burnt. And it's cooked, so we'll see. I'm gonna give this a couple minutes to sit, and then cut her up and give it a try. Side. That's a little more cutting. Stringy cheese, good. Let's take a look at the bottom. Not burnt. Still a little doughy, but I think the rest of it's not bad. It's an acceptable effort. It's an acceptable effort. So this morning, they're gonna take out the tree that's over here beside the house. So this is my documentary evidence of the tree that once was, even though it still is. But by the time you see this, it definitely once was. Very catch as catch can lately on these. Been busy, things, stuff, you know. Just gonna catch you up. The holidays, I was sick going into the holidays. James had been sick a bit beforehand. When we got to the holidays themselves, holidays as in days off from work and school, then my wife and Michelle got sick. Michelle's been homesick the last couple of days from school, so that's just been, it's been throwing everything off. I had some things I had to do that I had to stay home and I mentioned that the tree's coming down. I have to go tomorrow. I have an appointment, and I'm running out of time, but I got the appointment. I got all the bullshit here that I need to do this. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. So, the United States, quite a few years ago, passed this real ID. I think it may have gone back so far as to have been the Bush administration during the War on Terror that he started. And it's a standard for federal identification for travel, so for airlines and whatnot. And it goes into effect ultimately in October of 2020, I believe. I believe it's October of 2020. It's 2020. And basically it's a certain standard to get this ID. Now, for those of you not in the United States does not have a ID card program, despite the fact that I have a passport card, which is a federal ID card, right? But you can't use it as an ID card. So basically in the United States, everyone uses their driver's license. And if they don't drive, they have to get a state ID issued ID card for a non-driver. But everyone uses their driver's license. And the way the Real ID program was set up, the intent was for the states to adopt the necessary standards to make their driver's license compliant with Real ID. But go figure, fucking Republicans. I don't want the federal government telling me what I have to do and shove it up their asses, the sons of bitches. And typically, of course, Arizona is one of the states that always leads that bullshit charge. I'm sure I've told you about how they've got all the signs up at the vehicle emissions telling you, make sure you blame the federal government for this because we wouldn't bother to check you for pollution if we didn't have to. That kind of crap. Well, the Real ID is the same way. When I first got my driver's license, you used to have to renew it every, 5 years or something. I had to do that a couple times, and then they came out with their perpetual license. You get your driver's license, and it's good for forever, but every 10 years you have to go in and have your picture taken just so that it's a little more current. And then once you're 65, then it goes back to renew, because you got to go in and have your eyes checked and stuff and make sure you're still capable of driving. But one of the features of the Real ID is that it must be renewed every 8 years, and Arizona doesn't want to break their perpetual license. Therefore, they refuse to implement Real ID as a mandatory program. Instead, they've implemented it as a voluntary optional program. Now, I got my notice that I have to go in and get my picture taken, and as it was my birthday, and so this is the month I have to get my picture taken to get my driver's license updated. And they also send along a letter and says, you don't have to do this, but if you want to fly in an airplane in the United States, or if you want to enter a federal building, you're going to need a Real ID that the federal government's forcing us to do, but we're not going to force you to do it because that's just wrong. And so you have to go through a separate process. You have to set up an appointment. You have to go down there to not just have the picture taken, but you've actually got to sit with a asshole worker at, sorry for the workers there, you're not assholes, but you're doing an asshole job, to do this Real ID. And you have to go down and you have to take in a bank statement, and you have to take in a utility card statement to prove you live where you live. Now, get the irony of this. The driver's license card had to be proved that I was here in the country legally, because that's Arizona law. Okay? Doesn't have to prove you're a citizen, but it has to prove you're here legally. And so they've already done that. They sent me my renewal notice at my address, which they have on file, but they won't accept my driver's license as proof of my address. I have to give them other proof of my address. Makes sense, right? 2 of them, not just 1. The fact that my driver's license got here, the fact that I could show up with a utility bill for this address that shows I live like this, is good enough? No, not good enough. Can't even be 2 utility bills. Has to be something else. So a utility bill and a bank statement, for example. Mind blown. Then you have to bring in your Social Security card or a W-2 card to show that the Social Security number that they have on file, which they already have on file, which they had to check originally, is the Social Security number. And then on top of that, you have to prove that you're actually legally here again. So I have to take down my passport, which should be the ultimate form of identification in the United States, is a passport. I have a passport. I have a passport card. I have all of that stuff. That should be all I need to get the federal ID so that I don't have to carry my passport, because that's the alternative for traveling. It's just to always carry your ID card. But they're doing this intentionally to make you pissed off at the federal government. It doesn't work. It makes me pissed off at the assholes that run this state. Ugh. And people know it's them doing it. And of course, also when you get your driver's license, if it's not a real ID, it's got like something printed on it. It says, "Not a valid ID for federal travel." Some stupid crap like that, so that you know that it's an inferior bullshit license. So anyway, I'm going down to do that tomorrow. So I'm going to shave and maybe clean so that I look more blonde. You still have to fill out the form and say I'm blonde. It's like, I'm blonde. I'm still blonde. It's just my hair is darker than it used to be when I first got my license. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of it. It seems like I've got some other things to do, but because it's been all whacked out, I've hit a new low weight yesterday, although I'm back up a little bit from it today, but a new low. I was down into the 210s, or actually, I was down to 210 yesterday. So that would put me at 11 pounds from target. But at the rate it's going, it's a long way to 11 pounds. It's terribly amusing that they're just standing on the neighbor's roof to cut my tree. I know there's no neighbor over there. Well, there might be. That's the rental, the per week rental. And there is a car there, but I don't think there's any people in it right now. Maybe that's why they're doing it. You would be hard-pressed to know there was a tree there. It's a little soft when you step on it, and I suppose I probably ought to soak it so that it muds up. We'll give that a try. But it is genuinely impressive. Genuinely impressive. I also got extra work out of them. Today was cleanup day. Well, you can't see it because it's so bright. Yeah, there it is. Today was cleanup day, and they got the big garbage that was lining the front for the last 2 weeks or whatever it was. And they left a pile of leaves and crap, and I raked it up and put it in a pile, and I was going to clean it up. Well, I wasn't going to clean it up because that hurts my back, but I was going to get somebody to bag it. And as it happens, they dragged the stuff across that way when they were taking it out, and they just raked it up and took it away with them with the rest of the plant matter. So that's like free labor.